Je suis ravie que vous puissiez autant échanger les uns avec les autres. Ça veut dire que vous vous mettez en relation. On est là pour ça aujourd'hui. Mais on va recommencer le prochain panel. We will start a new panel right now. So please have a seat. Yeah, I will invite you. Yeah. No, I will invite you. Ah. What a beautiful noise. Sound, music. All right. I hope you had a good break, that you are full of caffeine, then attention, and maybe you have already created a few new collaborations. I have, by the way, so that was very good moment. So our next session is about how the collaborations come to life. This panel is called From Connection to Collaboration, Sisters Initiative, and it will showcase existing programs already ongoing. And I will invite Stefan Kretzer to be the moderator, and invite also all the panelists to come and join to gain a bit of time so that we will keep on schedule. So please, Stefan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Francie. Welcome back after the coffee break. So yeah, I would like to invite to the panel Silvia Diazzi, from the communication manager at the AEIP Youth Voices Lab, Power of the Collective. Welcome. And then I would like to invite Léonard Lévesque, coordinator at the LIPARI Research and Innovation Partnership on Renewable Energy. Welcome. Gideon Breffo, project manager at SEED, strengthening the Europe-Africa digital ecosystem through increased research and innovation cooperation. Welcome, Gideon. Isabel de Vera from the Eureka Secretariat and Innovate program. And Adolfo Cires Alonso, finance and investments manager at the Team Europe initiative, investing in young businesses in Africa. Welcome, Alonso. And then last but not least, Lara Pandya, team leader at the Strategic Partnerships and Communications Department of EDCTP3. That's the Global Health European Developing Countries Clinical Trials Partnership. So a very warm welcome to all panelists. So yeah, as we said earlier today, the Africa Europe Innovation Platform is intended to function as a network of networks. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to duplicate what other initiatives are already doing out there in the space. But rather we want to act as a forum, as a platform, as a convening forum for all these other networks that have in many times a more specific focus on a specific area of innovation or sector. Yeah, indeed, we want to unlock synergies with these other initiatives and see how working together actually can make a difference. So I'm very delighted to have such a broad panel here together that represents innovation, research, and entrepreneurship, and the youth dimension, and relevant sectors such as public health. So I would like to learn from all of you on this panel about all the exciting work you're doing to bring African and European researchers and innovators together. And I would like to start with Silvia about, tell us about yourself, about the AEIP Youth Voices Lab. What is your mission? What have you achieved so far? And I'm particularly curious to hear about the AEIP Youth Voices Lab app that you have set up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a great place to make new connections. So yes, my name is Silvia Diazzi. I'm Communication and Dissemination Manager at Youthmakers Hub. It's a non-profit organization based in Greece, and we are implementing projects bridging Africa and Europe in the fields of youth, entrepreneurship, innovation, and higher education. Specifically, we are one of the 5 implementing partners of the AU-EU Youth Voices Lab Power of the Collective program, which is a 4-year initiative co-founded by the EU and part of the larger program called AU-EU Youth Lab. So we are, as Youthmakers Hub, we are the communication partners, so we take care of communication and dissemination. We are implementing capacity building in Kenya, Uganda, and Ghana. And we are also developing the mobile application, as you mentioned, Stefan. Our other partners are Oxfam, Search for Common Ground, Restless Development, and Comdev Africa. The program aims at co-creating a youth-responsive society in Europe and in Africa, and it's targeting directly youth through the youth journey, and also decision makers through the institutional journey. So we have, at the same time, parallel activities that are aiming at building capacity for young people, generally where the focus is young people in Africa, or also youth diaspora, and also European youth from 15 to 35 years old. Youth-led organization, as well as institutions. So we have a wide range of activities, for example, third-party funding mechanisms with micro-grants from 1,000 to 10,000 euros grants for funded projects. We also have the mobile application. The mobile application, it's a platform that allows the co-creation of the app itself. So we have a specific space where we collect inputs and feedback from young people, part of the community. Specifically, we ask what they want, which kind of languages they prefer to learn in, which type of topics they would like to discuss. And the aim is to involve 10,000 young people in the co-creation of this mobile app. It also includes free learning courses, and I see a lot of areas for potential collaboration in this part especially. The free learning courses also provide shareable certificates upon completion. We also have one part of the mobile application for networking. So we have specifically one opportunity desk feed. It's a curated feed where we share opportunities, granting, scholarships, webinars, questionnaire, anything that could be interesting for our community. And different groups in which people can find each other based on their own interests. So happy to share more during the panel and also later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Yeah, and as we all know, demographically speaking, Africa is the youngest continent, and this is just very important work you're doing to support the youth. And as part of the Africa Europe Innovation Platform, we also have Willis here from the Youth Cafe. So yeah, this youth dimension is also reflected in our approach, and I think there are definitely some synergies to be explored between what you're doing and what we're doing. So thank you for this opening statement. Next, I would like to hear from Leonard. You are representing the green energy transition research and innovation space between Africa and Europe. And you are working on this co-fund mechanism on sustainable energy. So it would be great if you could tell us how this helps fund innovative projects to scale up and yeah, deliver concrete outputs, prototypes, and the like.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Good morning to everyone. My name is Leonard. I work for LGI Sustainable Innovation. It's a French company headquartered in Paris. And we are coordinating LIPARI, which stands for the Long-Term Euro-African Partnership on Renewable Energy. So this is a Horizon 2020 initiative that is still ongoing until 2026. And actually, we are very happy of already being your sister initiative. And basically, this program relies on three main assets. The first one is that, as you stated, we have been in capacity to create a co-funding mechanism in order to animate a bicontinental platform between Europe and Africa, where member states from Europe, but also from Africa, they are acting as funders. So there is EU money coming from the Commission, but the co-funding mechanism is also a pool of ministries and delegated agencies in charge of energy and higher education in Europe and Africa that are members of the consortium and putting national resources into a common pot. Thanks to this mechanism that involves, for instance, in Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, South Africa, Senegal, pending Côte d'Ivoire, Kenya, and other countries, we have been in capacity to organize several calls for projects. So the first one has been launched in 2021, the second in 2022. We currently are in the process of evaluating the applications for the third call, and I have also the pleasure to announce that in the next week we will launch the fourth call for project. So we fund research and innovation. So the main beneficiaries of our projects are academia, research centers, universities, some companies, but we mainly fund research. So the second asset is actually the critical mass of beneficiaries that we have been in capacity to fund at this stage. So through the 2 calls that we have been launching, we funded 242 organizations in Europe and Africa. So I was playing with Slido and specifying that we already had 3,000 active users in the platform, but actually we have researchers, individuals, scientists that actually actively contribute to the deployment of this platform. They are active in 33 countries, and in the recent figures we had for the last call, actually we also see an increasing visibility and attractiveness in Africa because we received applications in 31 African countries for the last call. So I think this is absolutely decisive also to connect with what you offer, this platform. First, because we used to organize our annual forum each year on October. So yesterday we had the pleasure to organize our forum here in Brussels. And we also launched an online platform where these users, these 3,000 people, can actually identify opportunities. We launched a knowledge center when you can access plenty of resources, deliverables, data sets, addressing renewable energy, sustainable energy technologies, and also a matchmaking tool where actually the beneficiaries can identify potential consortium members, because the project we fund, they are a kind of small horizon projects, consortium built, funded between 1 and 3 million, that involve approximately between 5 and 10 organizations. And the last asset of our program is that actually we generate a pipeline of research and innovation outputs. So now we need to enter in the next phase, which is precisely to scale up and to enter into the African energy markets. And now we are facing a gap, because actually we work with researchers, not with companies, not with startups. So precisely now we are in the decisive turning point where we need to transfer those research and innovation results into the African energy markets, and I think decisively we could work together on that.
Perfect, thank you very much, Lena. And you already anticipated and answered my next question about the synergies, because indeed I think there's a very nice transition as we talked about connecting people not only between Africa and Europe, investors to investors, or entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs, and so on, but actually also along the value chain, so researchers to innovators. That was one of the outcomes of the needs assessment we did at the beginning of our platform design, to understand where is the gap in the market. And I see there's a great potential for the organizations, the research institutions and whatnot that you support, to come into our Green Thematic Challenge and be linked to entrepreneurs on the ground, and then together scale up and bring the solutions to market. So thank you very much for being here today with us. Then next I would like to hear from Gideon. You're representing the SEED project and focusing on digital research and innovation cooperation between Africa and Europe. Tell us a bit about the outcomes. I understand that the project is coming to an end soon, so it would be great to hear about the key results from you.
Right, thank you very much. So the SEED project, that's strengthening Europe-Africa digital ecosystem through enhanced R&I cooperation. You know, there are a lot of research outputs that are left on the shelves. Nothing happens out of it. And innovations that just remain in communities, and it's difficult to scale. So the SEED project focuses on providing a route to market access for these innovations, and then also aim at enhancing the cooperation between Europe and Africa in terms of digital and research and innovation. So what we did was to begin with a baseline survey to understand what is actually happening, and then we used that to build a robust route to market access framework. And we are leveraging heavily on the Enrich in Africa platform to provide that kind of access to the researchers, innovators, students, lecturers, and what have you, the stakeholders within the R&I ecosystem. And it's been successful because we came up with a number of vehicles to help us pilot this in 4 main countries. So the focus were on Ghana, Kenya, Senegal, and South Africa. And so what we did was to conduct a number of webinars, boot camps, just to enlighten people of what was happening within these ecosystems and to whip out any kind of interest or collaboration that they would deem fit with these ecosystems. To enable that, the next one was to do a learning expedition. So each of these pilot regions worked with 10 innovators or researchers just to introduce them to the ecosystem, to test out to see if there can be access to market for whatever they are doing, or probably they can collaborate with stakeholders within that ecosystem to promote whatever they might have developed in Europe and they want to bring to Africa, or other African countries but want to scale to these economies. And it worked. We got those interests. So we're like, okay, then we're going to provide soft landing for these people. And I must say, in all 4 pilot regions, these were a success because people got introduced to stakeholders that really matter in their scale-up to those countries. And in Ghana, for instance, out of that, one innovator from Ireland, she has an app for genetics. And she came to Ghana. She got connected to all those that matter. And she's back to Ghana since last week. She has already signed 4 MOUs. She's registering her company in Ghana. And so those are tangible results that came out of the framework that we built. And a number of additions for R&I actors have been made on the Enrich in Africa platform, where people are able to share their research outputs, look for people that they can connect with and collaborate with to scale either their innovation or research outcomes. And this has actually worked. So now we're looking forward that even though the project is coming to an end, because partners within this ecosystem supported these innovators from Europe or the other African countries, and they're already connected, they will continue to provide them with the necessary support so that that cooperation between Europe and Africa can continue to be enhanced.
Thank you, Gideon. Yeah, I think we have a lot. Yeah. A round of applause for these results that are indeed very inspiring, and I think we can learn a lot from how you organized matchmaking and soft landing support. And it's very encouraging to hear that, you have been closely working with the Enrich in Africa Center in all of this, which of course is also a key partner and of the Africa Europe Innovation Platform. So I think that's a good sign for continuity and taking these lessons learned on board looking forward. Next I would like to ask you, Isabel, representing Eureka and the Innowide Market Access Scheme, how you in the work that you do address market access for entrepreneurs, both from Africa and from Europe, wishing to bring innovative solutions to the other continent.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan, and good morning, everyone. I'm here today together with some colleagues representing Eureka. Eureka is the world's the largest network for international cooperation in R&D and innovation. It includes country members from 47 countries, along with the European Commission. In Africa, South Africa is a full member of Eureka. And Eureka has a portfolio of funding programs and instruments tailored to the different needs of the R&D and I chain. And within this framework, I work for a program called Innowide that specifically supports SMEs and startups in European member states and some are Horizon Europe associated countries to implement market feasibility projects with the aim of internationalizing their innovation to their selected target country outside of Europe. So as Vincenzo mentioned earlier today, Africa has been a constant focus since the first call. That call had a focus on Africa, so half of the projects funded were reserved for cooperation with Africa, because one of the key features of these projects is cooperation with local partners in the target country. So this program is designed to implement market feasibility to assess the potential for their innovation in their selected target country. So even if the subsequent calls don't have a specific focus on Africa, it's always open to target African countries, and we see that their interest remains because approximately 1/3 of the applications target Africa in every call. So we can see the potential for cooperating with Africa.
Thank you, Isabel. And yeah, indeed, I think it's very encouraging to hear that there is this strong interest in the African market also on the European side. And again, here I see some synergies with what we are launching in the thematic challenges, where if we get these pairs or groups of entrepreneurs from Africa and Europe together, they can also explore market access opportunities with the Innovate scheme. Then I would like to hand over to you, Adolfo, and I would like to hear from you about the Team Europe initiative investing in young businesses in Africa. I think we have a video that will be played first, and then you can maybe add to that afterwards.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Recent studies forecast Africa's working age population will grow by 450 million, while the continent's economies are expected to generate only 100 million new jobs. Picture an African innovator with a brilliant idea. She wants to turn local agricultural waste into sustainable products. Easy to imagine, right? That's because 1 in every 5 Africans is an entrepreneur. But our young entrepreneur faces challenges that make success difficult to reach, obstacles that threaten her dream. This is where the Team Europe initiative, investing in young businesses in Africa, IYBA, plays a key role. Launched in 2021 by the European Union, 10 member states, and European Development Financial Institutions, this initiative connects partners, investors, and support organizations across Africa and Europe to help early-stage African businesses and SMEs start, grow, and thrive. Built on 3 pillars, it offers financial and technical support tailored to each stage of growth and strengthens entrepreneurship ecosystems. The IYBA Team Europe initiative is an umbrella for a growing mix of regional programs and financial tools, each with its own focus, goals, and reach. Through the IYBA Seed program, the EU and its partners are working in Benin, Kenya, Senegal, South Africa, and Togo to strengthen entrepreneurial ecosystems and improve access to business development services for very early and early stage businesses. At the same time, they support the business environment through policy reforms and public-private dialogues. The IYBA Women Entrepreneurship for Africa program, We4A, tackles the challenges many women face in building their businesses. While 1/4 of Africa's businesses are run by women, most operate informally and in tough conditions. We4A works in 8 sub-Saharan countries, helping women in the green economy with training, mentoring, seed funding, and support to secure further investment. In Africa, early-stage businesses and MSMEs are often seen as too risky. The IYBA Invest and IYBA Market Creation Platform programs are changing that, building a pipeline of funds and ready-to-invest projects. By uniting Team Europe, public funders, developmental finance institutions, and private investors, they help businesses reach the stage where major capital is ready to step in. The IYBA Market Creation Platform, IYBA MCP program, provides financial and technical support to investment funds and funds of funds and aims to act as a pipeline creation engine. Through blended finance, IYBA Invest provides first-class risk capital to support the creation and consolidation of locally domiciled impact funds. By taking on more of the early risk, it encourages other investors to join the project, helping fill the funding gap many call the missing middle. The IYBA We Do program taps into remittances from the African diaspora in Europe, directing them into micro and small businesses. It also offers technical support and connects these businesses to local entrepreneurial networks. Finally, the European Fund for Sustainable Development Plus, or EFSD Plus, helps MSMEs in sub-Saharan Africa get the financing they need by lowering risk for European finance institutions and strengthening local intermediary lenders. Many EFSD Plus guarantees carry the IYBA label, reflecting their shared goals and close alignment with other programs. The IYBA Team Europe initiative is expanding across Africa, helping more and more entrepreneurs build sustainable, job-creating businesses and shaping the future of the continent.
It's a very nice video and very comprehensive initiative that you are representing here, Alonso. Sorry, Adolfo, do you want to elaborate a bit on how you address access to finance, which of course we all know is a key challenge, but then also opportunity to bringing innovation to the market?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. First of all, let me just clarify. I'm working in DG IMPA. DG IMPA means DG International Partnerships. We are another DG different from RTD, and the fact that we were invited to be here today means that we are collaborating between different DGs. You know, this is just the kind of the result of that. DG IMPA basically focus on partnerships abroad, outside Europe, for economic development and other kind of relations with different countries. You know? Just maybe, first of all, to say this video helped all of us a lot, because then I don't have to go through all these different kind of programs and financial instruments that we have as part of the Team Europe. But just maybe to summarize, the objective of the Team Europe is to catalyze capital to Africa, to different companies, startups and SMEs. That is the main objective, through capital and also TAE. And in addition, we have another pillar that is ecosystem. That means putting different players together. Networking, networks of networks as well, you know. So that is the objective of the Team Europe. And for the ones that are maybe not so used to the term Team Europe, you have seen it a little bit in the video, but basically Team Europe are composed by member state agencies, either development cooperation agencies, like the likes of the GIZ, Expertise France, and ABEL, etc., and European DFIs, European Development Finance Institutions, from the European Investment Bank, Proparco, DEG, FMO. Those ones are members of the Team Europe together with, in this case, with DG IMPA. You know, so we are working together for the achievement of providing more capital in Africa. I think that you can see the kind of variety of programs that we have. We have programs that they provide grants to very early stage companies led by women. We have support to early stage funds. Funds means investment funds. Some of them domiciled in different countries in Africa. Another bigger funds that they are not domiciled in Africa, but they are domiciled maybe in Luxembourg, but they invest in Africa. And we also work a lot with the banking sector, you know. So when I listen, for example, to Leonard, when you were talking about that you have a pipeline of ideas that could become companies. Okay, so where we come with this Team Europe AEIP is with looking for startups, providing the capital in different stages, different kind of capital, different type of ticket size. So we are just starting somehow the collaboration with DGRTT, but the potential is great, because we have this kind of variety of instruments that can fit different kind of companies within the continent.
Thank you, Adolfo. Yeah, indeed, again, very interesting initiatives, I should say in plural, and also interesting to see how you can mobile member states and Europe for the common good. And I think, yeah, very interesting to talk to you also about how we can link this up with the thematic challenges in the Africa-Europe Innovation Platform to help entrepreneurs scale up their solutions, but also the Investment Readiness Academy that we will be launching, as mentioned earlier today, which is also about investability of projects. And then last but not least, I would like to ask you, Lara, about the work that you're doing as part of the EDCTP3 on public health related research and innovation in Africa.
Thanks for, is that working? Yeah. Thanks very much. So yes, I'm Lara Pandya. I'm Team Leader for Strategic Partnerships and Communications at Global Health, EDCTP3. That's the European and Developing Countries Clinical Trials Partnership. And we've been around for over 22 years now. And we were established to really address the Millennium Development Goals, to tackle the main poverty-related diseases, HIV, malaria, tuberculosis in sub-Saharan Africa. And over time, we're now currently in our third iteration, Global Health EDCTP3. That scope has expanded to include other neglected infectious diseases, diarrheal diseases, lower respiratory tract infections, and diseases of emerging potential. And we are doing this really, we're supporting clinical trials, capacity development in sub-Saharan Africa to tackle these diseases. We are funded currently by Horizon Europe as a European partnership. And that means that we are a partnership between the European Commission and 46 European and African countries that all sit together as an equal partnership to set the strategy and our funding priorities in sub-Saharan Africa. And this partnership also aims to ensure that there's collaboration between European and African researchers in all the work that we're supporting. So clinical research is at the heart of what we fund, clinical trials, but we don't support them in isolation. We also, as part of that clinical trial, support the enabling environment for conducting clinical research in sub-Saharan Africa through work packages involved in those clinical trials, but also through dedicated capacity development initiatives that are supporting, for example, ethics and regulatory capacities. And also we have, for example, established 4 regional networks of excellence in Central, Eastern, Western and Southern Africa that are working together to develop the capacities for conducting clinical research. So maybe, does that give a good overview at this stage for what we're doing? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. So yeah, very impressive initiatives represented here for this panel. I would like to know a bit more about maybe some of the challenges you are facing when implementing your activities, especially when it comes to coordinating very diverse sets of stakeholders across different cultural backgrounds. And also we know that, it can be difficult to navigate this very complex system of research and innovation on such a scale, representing 88 countries as we learned earlier. So maybe some of you would like to share some challenges you faced, and also maybe how do you think the Africa Europe Innovation Platform that we presented this morning can help you address some of these challenges? Open to anyone who would like to go first, please.
Great question, and pleasure to be here with the sisters initiatives and the representatives. So from our side as Youthmakers Hub and also as our program, the Youth Voices Lab, yes, of course, there are challenges, but if from what we're learning as a consortium, as being part of this large network, is mainly an opportunity for learning, to collaborate, and we are every single day learning something new. Because there might be an idea coming from a training we have done in Lake Turkana, in the middle of the desert, and this idea from young people coming from there, from a refugee camp, then we translate it into our mobile application. So we are taking the challenges, difficulties that we might face even as being part of the program ourselves, and then we translate it into actions that are part of the program, creating opportunities. I give you an example. One main challenge that we saw is that opportunities were not shared or reaching people, and that's why we decided to have the opportunity desk. That's why we decided to share also working opportunities, not just about learning, not just about granting, but also work opportunities. This is one small example. And also connecting to the network, to what you're doing with this program, definitely we have so much to contribute and to benefit by being part of it, both, as I said, as an organization and as a consortium and as a program, because we are sharing opportunities. We have a network on social media of over 12,000 people across different social media. We have newsletter, we have press releases, we have a WhatsApp channel. We have so many ways nowadays to communicate and to share. Our mobile application also works with low data usage, so of course we are trying to target also those people that might not be connected all the time with smartphones or with internet connection. There are many challenges, we all know that. But we have also networks on the ground. For example, we have a network of country managers, ambassadors, mobilizers that are mobilizing people on the ground. And every time we have an in-person event, so many people are joining because they see the value of this opportunity and this connection. So to connect to the question, yes, we can contribute by, of course, sharing these opportunities, inviting people to join the community of practice, to join the training sessions that you mentioned earlier, from this large network of young people that are also youth advocates, entrepreneurs, and students, but all kinds of profiles to join these opportunities. And at the same time, of course, we're part of the network, so we can share back with them opportunities. We can create ideas for new projects. We can create ideas for new initiatives, for new events, for new opportunities for connection. So I think this is great value, and thank you for the great work.
Thank you. Looking forward to indeed working together with you on all of that.
Regarding the program we implement, I think it's all about collaboration and mutual alignment. As you understood, we address several stakeholders typology. For instance, the funders, they are representatives from the public sector, from ministries, from governments. So the main challenge was to align on the thematic priorities to be funded. Because actually, when it comes to national agenda on energy, you have some states that address hydropower, whereas others do not address this as a priority. So we needed to find a strategic alignment on the thematic priorities to be addressed. And actually, we have a set of 7 priorities that goes from smart grids to standalone systems or production and utilization of green hydrogen. But ultimately, the member states between Europe and Africa, they agreed on a set of common priorities, which was very challenging. On the other hand, when it comes to the research and academia, the challenge is to increase collaboration. So it goes through common publications. We have a Zenodo platform where we publish actually a lot of common publications since 2020. And we also would like to increase the number of inter-academic collaborations. So we try to sign memorandum of understanding between universities and research centers, between Europe and Africa, but also between different institutions, even in Africa. Between Morocco and Kenya, we recently signed a MOU. And finally, as I said, we fund research innovation. So we work with researchers, not with entrepreneurs. So now we need to design, to build a venture building system in order to co-create startups and SMEs, because actually the outputs, they are in the labs, but now the challenge is to transfer that to the market. So we would advocate for the creation of such a mechanism where we could convert those good outputs and reinforce this mutual collaboration.
Okay, so let me talk about 3 of the challenges that we faced. The first part, remember that I was saying that our project also focused on enhancing collaboration between Europe and Africa. I think in some of our activities, we struggled to get the Europeans to participate. And that's a key challenge. Then on the other side, because we did a lot of research in the beginning, the human-centered framework we were building, there is this, I think, response to research questions fatigue for a lot of people. I've answered a lot of these questions, and probably they are not seeing how it relates to their real lives. So people either kept postponing or they were not feeling. So that's also a key challenge that we faced. The last one is both an opportunity and then a problem. We had activities like the online pitch events that a lot of people could participate, and then our twinning activity. It provided an opportunity for people to collaborate from the different countries. However, for instance, there are some twins that needed to be here, but those from Africa could not get visa to come, which is usually a challenge in these cases. If it's happening in Europe, likely the Africans struggle, and it's easier when it's the other way around. So that was also one of the challenges that we needed to deal with.
Thank you, Gideon, for sharing these insights, which indeed are highly relevant. Laura, do you want to come in? Could you give the microphone over, please?
Thanks very much. I think maybe a challenge that we've faced is actually rather similar to the colleague just here that was saying. It's around, well, a couple of things. Firstly, how to ensure that you have an equitable partnership between Africa and Europe. I mean, it's one thing to say you're a European-African partnership, but really ensuring it's equitable. And I feel that over time we've tried to ensure that at EDCTP. Initially, it was a member state-led initiative that was a European Economic Interest Grouping. And that meant for the first and the second program, where even the legal structure was changed, it was a partnership that was really funded and set up by the European member states, which meant that although the intention was to involve African countries, this wasn't necessarily really an equal partnership in that sense. But with this third iteration, Global Health EDCTP3, it really is an equal partnership where also with the legal setup with the EDCTP Association, which is the governing partner together with European Commission, African and European countries are both equally represented at the table. And so I think that's really important, and that flows right down through the agenda setting. So what you were saying in terms of making sure that everyone is aligned around one common research agenda, which is not easy when you're dealing with different regions, but also in the work that we fund. So going to the level of the requirements for consortia that we support, that there has to be at least one European and one African research institution involved, for example. And I think also making sure that the African member countries involved, even though they don't currently at this stage come with cash contributions, their in-kind contributions to activities are acknowledged, and we have mechanisms for doing that. So the funding that we receive from the European Union is contingent upon that being matched by in-kind or cash contributions from African and European member countries. And I think having this conversation and this equal representation around the table also means that African countries can ensure that their local priorities are reflected, that have global applicability and are relevant for the global evidence needs. So yeah, just sharing one example there where I think challenges are being overcome.
Thank you. A very important point. about equitable partnerships is also something we sort of grappled with in the design stage of our platform. And I mean, one measure I think we took is to indeed we have 15 consortium members, and we are equally as many from Africa as from Europe. So that's also sort of already one attempt to ensure equity. But of course, it doesn't stop there. One has to constantly remind ourselves of the need for equitable partnerships. Adolfo, would you like to add something?
Yes, thank you very much. You know, we focus on access to capital. So, you know, this is like talking about your marriage. How many challenges do you have in your marriage? You know, you can even write a book about it, isn't it? There are so many challenges. So it's a bit what happened to us. I don't even know how to summarize what is the challenge of access to capital for companies in Africa. I don't even know where to start from, you know. But maybe if I have to summarize in a couple of categories, we have challenges from the demand side, meaning from the companies to be able to access money. And then we also have challenges from the supply side. That means from either the banking sector or capital markets, you know. So when we look at all these challenges, that is actually what the Team Europe is trying to solve, trying to relate to these challenges. But for example, supply challenges from the banking sector. I mean, you know what happened in Africa. The banks, the local banks, they actually, what they do is they lend to the government. They don't lend to SMEs, you know. So if you are an SME, how can you compete with your government? It's impossible, basically, you know. So you have a small percentage of private sector lending to GDP in many countries, you know. Big challenge. When it comes to capital markets, that means domiciliation of funds or being able to attract capital into those funds. Another challenge. And not only to attract capital from Europe, we have that kind of image that I don't think is also real, that all the capital that come to Africa has to come from Europe. No. There's a lot of local capital available in those countries, starting by different kind of pension funds and others, that is not mobilized to lend to SMEs, you know. So there's a big challenge on the supply side, and I will focus actually more on the supply side, because we keep on hearing, the companies are not ready, we have to help them to get investment ready. We start with a massive problem of access to capital from SMEs. Let's focus on that, isn't it? So anyhow, I don't want to go into many more details, because I tell you honestly, we could write a whole book about it, and there are also many books about it and many reports. But that is what we're actually trying to deal with when we work in the Team Europe AEIP. It's a combination of instruments that we use to support companies. Of course, it's not perfect. We are trying our best within the Team Europe. Team Europe members, Team Europe DFIs, we're working, we are motivated, but of course we have to work also with the local ecosystems and with the local capital availability, you know. So, yeah. Okay, sorry, and another thing I forgot. The Africa-Europe Innovation Platform, how can we work together? Well, I was just sitting there before, and then you came and showed the 5 pillars of action of the platform. One of them is access to finance. So, you have it.
And I think this topic of how to unlock supply-side constraints could also be a topic in the community of practice on commercialization of research results that we're launching as part of the platform. So I think very interesting also to connect back to the policymakers. Isabel?
Yeah, if we still have some time, and very briefly, for Innowide, probably one of the challenges is this lack of follow-up initiatives after market feasibility. And to connect with the Africa-Europe Innovation Platform, this is where the program can, the projects can benefit from after concluding their projects, because it's important to highlight that Innowide is not an export-aid support mechanism, but it funds feasibility, and after they finalize their projects, this is where the Africa-Europe platform can accompany companies to further their path to the market.
Thank you. We've got a few minutes left for questions from the audience. So I would be very curious to hear what your reflections are.
I have a question about gender. In Africa, actually, when we work with NGOs or with companies, they want to break the gender division. Why? We have, for example, a project in Saint Louis of Senegal, where you can, in agriculture, of course, the women are busy there, and they make enough money to survive, not more. So men and youngsters are going to Saint Louis, Dakar, and then maybe trying to enter in Europe. The result is that you divide the family, you break it down. So what they want is now to have a project that will integrate as well men as women, and not so much focusing only on women, on gender questions. So they can unite the family, and the only way to obtain that is that even if agriculture is fundamental in Africa, that you add to it jobs where you can also bring men inside it. And some men are ready to work in agriculture in the case you have enough production and you can export. Then you have the money, added value.
Thank you. I don't know if any of the panelists want to react to that, or otherwise I think there was a lady in the back with a red scarf. Want to take a question?
Thank you. I have a question for all of you, actually. So when it comes to capacity building, it's a word that's thrown around a lot. And it's normally a result of collaborations. But I wonder, once that project is done, how much capacity is built, is one, and how much of that is in leadership roles? Do you see in 5 years that collaboration is not needed anymore because the capacity is built and it could be led within the country? Is it something you do in your projects?
Very important question. Who would like to react to that?
Great question and great point. You are 100% right. That's why one of the reasons, one of the principles in how we build the capacity building programs is to involve local trainers and to collaborate with local actors. For example, I have mentioned it earlier, we have done in May capacity building training in the framework of this program in Turkana region in collaboration with a local organization that is providing ICT training for the local youth, involving also young people from a refugee camp of Kakuma that is nearby. Why I'm telling this? It was very important for us to go and work on an existing ecosystem because that ensures sustainability, that ensures long-term of sharing the kind of skills that we are bringing. Of course, we also brought something from our side because as Youthmakers Hub, our capacity, our expertise is communication, right? So it's also interesting to bring something from a different reality, but we really, really cared and put effort to have local trainers. Why? Because the local trainers, first of all, they get skills into being involved in this kind of program. And also they can transfer the knowledge, they can transfer any kind of training, any kind of learning, whatever has resulted from group work with other people that are already there, that are already part of an organization. That is, I believe, one of the principles that is important for us because we know once the project is finished, what happens next? And that's why we think in this way, because it's not about us being there and showing that we go and we do a training, it's really what stays. For example, some of the youth that were in our training then use the material from us and the application that is available to train other peers in their community, because all of them were actually leaders of their community based in Kakuma refugee camp. And they have organizations, so they have organized training with our slides, with that we shared, with the application that of course they have access to other youth. So this is multiplying, and it does not depend on the fact that our organization is there or not, but it's really based on the network. So I hope that answers.
I saw that. I just want to give the chance for one more question before we have to close the session. Actually, I'm afraid the gentleman over there, maybe could you also state your name and which organization you represent? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Prince Obona, Molu Venture Lab, Nigeria. So my question is around sustaining three categories of organizations that we work with. These are MSMEs, startups, and then incubation organizations. Market access is a problem. Capital access is a problem. I mean, the conversations we've been having and the relationship we've had with most of them, the challenge is that it's difficult to have access to capital for startups. Fund managers, it's difficult to even get monies into different funds to trickle down to startups. For MSMEs, debt instruments are also even difficult locally with high interest rates and all of that. So my question is, how are we able to create technical assistant instruments? You know, small pockets of instruments that can sustain both incubation organizations, because most of these incubation organizations do not actually get funding, and they work directly with MSMEs and startups. So how are we able to get technical assistant instruments to support incubators and accelerator programs? And also for startups, how do we get funds to startups beyond just VCs? Because VCs now, you have to de-risk, most of this investment, and as a first-time fund manager, it's difficult to even receive funds. So my question basically is, how are we able to get these monies to sustain these organizations and keep the dream of most businesses in Africa going? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think you address a very important point, and the role that intermediary structures like business support organizations play in raising finance, and indeed in the Africa Europe Innovation Platform, we will be providing trainings and twinning services also to enable business support organizations to perform this role. But I don't know if any, maybe Adolfo, you would like to come in on the capital question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, because I came here to sell my book of AEIP, I will answer. I'm just joking. Anyhow, we as part of the Team Europe AEIP, you saw it a little bit in the video, when it comes to supporting access to finance ecosystem, there are many different kind of activities or actions within the different contracts that we have and the different instruments, because we have from grant contracts to blending operations for investments to guarantees for DFIs to de-risk their investments in funds. So I will try to go to the point on what you are talking about. Yes, you are right. I mean, we have to accompany companies along the way from the moment that become a startup, that they need incubation services, to the moment that they need the first kind of capital, maybe grant, maybe angel investor, maybe subsidized loans. We have some of the programs, and actually we have our colleagues of EBN that they are here today. We have a contract with them that is called Big Africa. It's actually to support incubators, organizations, to strengthen them in different ways, But you are right. I mean, we have to support enterprise support organizations and incubators to also be stable. They cannot be depending always on, let's call it maybe donor money, They cannot. They have to be able to provide the services along the way, So, yeah, I can only say, yes, you are right. And we are trying to do that within the different programs.
Thank you very much. And with that, we are out of time for this panel. So I just wanted to maybe reiterate that it was very inspiring to hear from all these initiatives. I do see a lot of potential for synergies, not only between each of you and what we're trying to do with the Africa Europe Innovation Platform, but probably also between all of your initiatives. All of your initiatives will be featured in the directory of sister initiatives on our website, so that people who want to work on Africa Innovation Corporation can also access those resources. So thank you very much for your presentations. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this presentation. Thanks to the moderator and to the Sisters Initiative presentations. Now I think it's time for lunch. So I invite you to go to the next room, grab something, and I believe that we can meet within an hour for the next panels. So just enjoy, connect, and collaborate. Thank you.